So I'd like to welcome everybody to another Michigan Military Technical and Historical Society military vehicle restoration update. So right now for those of you that have been following us, we're looking at the Clark CT6 Mil 44 Heavy that we have been restoring now for about a year, or a little over a year, I guess. This is a 1943 Clark CT6. And you can see it's looking a little bit different. We've got her back together largely. Got the wheels back on it. That was one of our big holdups, as the tires were on back order for quite some time. We finally got the tires in, so it's back down on the ground. We've had it running. We've taken it for a short ride around the backyard here a couple of times. It runs pretty good. Still got some bugs that I got to work out of it. I got a head stud over here that's leaking coolant, so I'm going to have to drain the coolant back out of this thing and pull that stud and reseal it. But had a couple minor oil leaks over here in the oil lines. I had a cracked flare on one of the lines I made going to the fuel or the oil filter, so I had to fix that. Just a couple of little teething problems. We tried to reuse the original fuel shutoff valve, and it surprised the 80-year-old valve. Shutoff valve leaked pretty badly, so we had to replace it. You can see the new one down there. Actually came from a motorcycle shop. I guess they used those on the old Harleys. So we were able to source one that looked almost identical to the one that was on there. You can see the lights are on it. You can see one of the lights has already given us a problem. Anybody who does military vehicle knows these aftermarket headlights, these 6-volt aftermarket headlights, are a pain in the butt. I don't know, there's some serious quality issues with them. So it still works, it's just a little cloudy. Well, it'll do for now. You can see the push plate's not on it yet. So that's the next big thing. Is I've actually got an appointment this Friday to go out to another local museum, Yankee Air Museum. They have one of these tugs, and I'm going out there to make some tracings of their front plate. So we'll go over here for a second. So here's our front plate, and those of you who are familiar with the Clarks will notice that here there's a section missing, maybe 3 or 4 inches has been cut off here, making this plate look somewhat narrow. Not sure why they did that, but it was obviously done some time ago. And this plate also has the extension welded on it up here. You can see the weld seam. Yeah, that I've seen it some period photographs that have that, so I'm probably going to leave that alone, because I think cutting it off is going to make more problems than it's going to solve, because I think they may have bobbed it. But it's nicely welded, and like I said, I've seen some period photos where this extension was done. So there's our push plate. It definitely needs a little bit of TLC. Bought one of the Eastwood Contour SCT tools, and I was kind of playing with it here, and that thing works pretty cool. Makes a lot of dust though, so I might have to drag this outside to do it. Probably be simpler than trying to load this thing into the truck and take it to the sandblasters. But there's a shameless plug for the Eastwood Corporation. Down here are the fenders. If those of you, if you remember, this Tug had the wrong engine in it when we got it, and they had run the exhaust system out the side and cut this hole in the fender for the exhaust plate. When I get the steel to make this, I will get another small piece that I can make and weld in there and fill that hole in, and then we'll get these guys painted and mounted. And the CT6 at that point will be pretty much finished. A couple of little things. We do have the build sheet, the original build sheet for this Tug, so we know what the original hood number was. So I got to get the stencils made up, and we can put the original hood number back on it. a couple little fidgety things. Let's see here. I need to make the battery hold down bracket. Is not made yet. Just some small stuff. And then we'll walk over here for a second. So here we have the beginnings of the seat cushions. I made the plywood blanks to fit the seat some time ago. I finally remembered to bring the can of OD paint from the museum so I could paint them. So I got them painted tonight. They're drying. I went out and I bought the foam, and I picked up a bolt of OD canvas at the MVPA Nationals in South Bend a couple weeks ago. So as soon as these are dry, I'll trim the foam to size, and then it'll be off to somebody to sew up to take the canvas I bought and sew up some seat cushions for me. So those should be done, and we'll have those on there. And CT6 is moving along quite nicely. So let's go take a look at the other Clark. So if you've been following the CA1 project, you'll see that it's coming along as well. We kind of jump back and forth between the two, in between waiting, we'll wait for parts for one, or waiting for paint to dry or something. So you'll see that the big thing that you'll notice from the last video is the tracks are back on it. We got the tracks mounted up, got the pads all cleaned and put back on. The massive oil leak that we had down here on the back of the cross drive has been largely mitigated. It's still dripping a little bit, but I have a feeling there's definitely some porosity to this casting, and I've resealed it and I've regasketed it. I've replaced the seals. I've cleaned everything, and she still wants to drip. I guess it's just the nature of the beast. So I'm just at this point I'm going to live with it. You see the instrument clusters in. We've got the oil line pump plumbed in. We've got the temperature gauge run. We started putting the vintage wiring of Maine wiring harness in. This will eventually go up onto the sheet metal once we get it put in. There's a couple of clamps this runs along. Got spark plug wires made. Everything hooked up. There is supposed to be right here, there's supposed to be a little wooden spark plug wire loom that goes there. At some point in the future I may make that. Lower radiator hose is on. I still have to go to the store and find an upper radiator hose. Trying to find one that isn't one of those weird flex hoses, which is harder than it seems. You can see got the seat pan or the toolbox in. Probably my next major project will probably be to bring the seat down and start restoring it. We have an original seat, but it's been heavily modified, so that's going to probably take a little bit of work to do. Let's walk over here to the bench for a second. So tonight we started cleaning up the valve for the raising and lowering of the blade. We got it apart and got it cleaned up. It looks pretty good inside. When I go back in the house a little bit, I was lucky to get a good part number off the seal that goes in there, so I should hopefully be able to get one of those ordered. I got a nice clean national number off of it before I pulled it out. So I'm hoping that I can find that quickly. Then I just got to make some new gaskets and put it all back together. We'll walk over here real quick. The valve itself looks pretty good. There's a little bit of boogering on it here, but we're not going to be doing construction work with this bulldozer, so I think we'll be okay. We do have another valve, but that one's not. This is the better of the two, so this is probably the one I'm going to use. So, and then we'll be on to one of these days. I'm going to have to tackle the blade, which should be fun because it's quite rusty. This side doesn't look bad. When you roll it over, the other side's pretty rough. So I've been kind of ignoring it for a while. And then I also got to figure out what to do with the hydraulics. We've got 2 sets of the rams. They're all pretty crunchy. So I guess the question is, how much more money do I want to invest in this thing? Because having these rams, re-chromed is going to be fairly expensive, and for a vehicle that's going to be largely a static museum piece, I don't know if it's worth that kind of expenditure. I guess we'll see. We got to get these knocked down. I do have a hydraulics guy who's said he would take a look at them for me, but like everybody else right now, everybody's short on help and backed up, so they're just going to sit here. So I guess I think that's enough of my yakking for a while. So we'll make one last loop here. There's our CT6. She's ready to go pretty much. Get that push plate and the fenders on it. The fire extinguisher bracket is over there, all wrapped up all painted and cleaned and wrapped up in that little sheet that's sitting on the bench over there. That'll get mounted on it. Trying to find the correct fire extinguisher to put in it with no luck as of yet, but we'll see. That is a Clark. That's an NOS Clark steering wheel. I believe it's a post-war steering wheel for a forklift. If I can find the right steering wheel, I'll swap it out, but for right now, that'll be on there. We'll swing around here and we'll take one last look at the CT6. And Nova back there in the background. Nova's been kind of neglected. I blew the motor up in it last year. So actually, my reason I'm trying to really get this one done is I want to get this one done and out of here so I can bring the Nova over here and rebuild the motor in it. So kind of selfish on my part. Get one of these museum vehicles out of my shop so I can work on my car. But all right, so that's it. Hope you all have a good night, well, it is good night here. I don't know what time it is where you're watching this. And stay tuned for the next installment. Thanks.